thank you for taking the time out to chat with me. It's very much appreciated. Um, I think they've always existed, but I feel that this year there's more alternate Christmas films than usual. I mean, I was talking to Eric Pennicoff last week for The Leech. Earlier this week, I caught Violent Night. I got the Mean One queued up for this weekend, and we're here talking about Christmas, Bloody Christmas. What do you think it is about this season that appeals to filmmakers so much to just destroy, for want of a better word?
I don't know. I mean, it's weird because, like I'm friends with Eric and I'm friends with Josh Miller who wrote Violent Night. So it's like weird that all these things like we suddenly were just doing them all at the same time and they kind of it's so random. And they're all coming out like within a week. But like there isn't a whole lot of stuff before. Like, there's like this people watch the same like three or four things every year. And I think that maybe we're of the generation now where like people are coming up who knew that there was a dearth of those movies or just wanted to see more of those things. And I think that also maybe companies or financiers are realizing that maybe it's a good idea to have something that people can have a reason to revisit every year. um so I think that kind of it's this weird meeting between like business and the creatives where like everybody sees the benefit of doing something like that. That's the way that the financiers kind of pitched it to me, but I feel like it's kind of like that thing where everything kind of matches or congruates in the right way. And also I think that the reason that all of us were like attracted to that to begin with is the sensationalism of being a kid and seeing like what is the most storied or the most innocent and thing in our lives like turned evil. Like that's when I saw Silent Night Deadly Night. I saw the fucking Santa. The kid watches Santa at the beginning, and it's like, oh, this is pretty sensational and dirty feeling. And then the pilot of Tales from the Crypt with Larry Drake playing Santa and all through the house and shit like that. Um, and I've always wanted to remake Silent Night Deadly Night. That's like my dream remake, which is what this movie was supposed to be and didn't turn out. So
I mean, even some of I guess the more mainstream Christmas films like Gremlins, it has that element of darkness to it. You've got Kate talking about Christmas Eve with her father, and that there is something I think about Christmas that, as much as it's supposed to be sickly sweet, that a lot of people do gravitate towards that darkness because it's not. We don't all have cookie cutter lives.
yeah, yeah, no, I agree. And I also like I wanted to do a Christmas movie where like I mean, I don't have kids, I'm not married or anything, but me and all my friends will just get fucked up and party on Christmas. So it's like, well, where's the movies for people for like horror loving metal fans who, party on Christmas and all this shit is going on around them and they're doing their thing despite this joyous family oriented thing. And I've had people, when they're reading the script for it, were like, why is there not, this doesn't feel like Christmas. There's no, families and like people opening presents and this and that. I was like, well, I will add a scene of somebody opening a present, but then the little motherfucker is going to get split in half. So be careful what you wish for.
Nice. I For me, watching your films, one of the things that really stands out to me is your visual style. Sort of, I think, started maybe in the mind's eye, your use of color, and then it sort of pushed through and through to now we're at Christmas, Bloody Christmas, which is so much neon, so much color. What is it about, this color palette that speaks to you and makes you want to tell your stories within it?
I don't know. I mean, ever since I was like a teenager, that's kind of how I would just like light my life. Like as you can see, this is my apartment. This is how just shit always looks. And it just kind of always appealed to me. And like, I spend a lot of time in bars and at fucking rock shows. And I love Halloween. I always loved Halloween attractions. So like there was just a sense of I loved arcades as a kid. So there's always like a sense where like the environments that I liked were like kind of dark with bright lights. Like, the idea of like being in a room that's painted black with lights that are just like sparsed around instead of like overtaking the whole room was like always something that was like visual appealing to me. And then I started integrating into my movies, and the more and more I did it, the more I liked it, and the more the way I liked the way it looked, and I liked how easy it was to like or made it easier to kind of shoot freehandedly or doc style kind of how I wanted. And kind of just designing the production to like incorporate that. And it's so funny. That's the reason I always like Christmas movies because like the lighting palette, like there's just being at nighttime with snow and like the colored lights reflecting off snow, it lends itself to a really cool look. And when I told my dad that this movie got financed, he's like, "Oh, what's it about again?" And I explained the movie to him. He's like, "Oh, it's a Christmas movie." Well, I guess that means that you can't have a bunch of neon lights everywhere. And I'm like, "Well, actually, Dad, not only am I gonna have neon lights fucking everywhere, but there's gonna be goddamn Christmas lights infiltrating every single scene too."
Yeah, I mean the record store is just beautiful. You know, the way that that is lit is just like I want to go there. I want to live there. It's just sort of so beautiful.
Yeah, that was just an empty white building that was for lease, and so we took it over, and I was able to do my thing, and it was just like, and then there was so many people from the town stopping by, like, "Is this a new record store?" And it's like, "No," but I hope somebody takes it over and opens it, and I can get a cut of it or something. But they shut it down, and now it's like a jacket, fucking coat store or something like that, like sell jackets and shit. So, but like I was able to make, I was like, if I ever owned a record video store, I would want it to look like a sleazy arcade in Blade Runner or something like that. Um, I would want to shop for movies and records in a place like that.
And you obviously are you're a clear fan of music, and in this film, your lead character works in a record shop, which leads to a lot of conversations. Was this your opportunity to get a bit of catharsis out, get some of your own sort of musical views out in the world?
Yeah, I not every single opinion she has I share, but most of them I do. And all my other movies kind of were like very situational movies where like the plot or the story is kind of driving everything. So I didn't really have a chance to kind of have a hang-up movie or have like I always loved when I was a kid movies where like horror or metal fans were like the lead characters, and then they're thrown into a horror movie. None of my movies really lent itself to that, but this it was like, well, I can, and now it allows me to have conversations that to me are realistic. Like, so that's why maybe they feel so natural because these are things that me and my friends all argue about, and I don't like, there's all these movies like horror movies where there's like five people who would never hang out, written by some guy who probably just took it as a job. And it's like, well, none of this is realistic. And the argument that I hear from people are like, well, all the characters in your movies are kind of the same. It's like, yeah, but I only hang out with people who are like me. That's how fucking life is. So if there's three people in a room talking and hanging out and they all sound the same, that's how friendship works. I don't know, I don't hang out with, the dork and the jock and the nerd. Like it's not the Breakfast Club, right? So I think that there's something to like, and it also made the dialogue feel more natural or like come out of me more natural. And it's the first movie where reviews are like, oh, the dialogue is actually good. And it's like, oh, well, good. Now that I had the time to talk about something that I usually talk about, people are saying something other than my dialogue is agonizing. So I feel like I succeeded in that. That was something I really wanted to do, is have characters that you wanted to like watch talk and not like just, be in set pieces.
And do haircuts ruin the band?
What was that?
Do haircuts ruin the band?
I think that mostly they do. It seems like because when people are changing their image like that, they're usually changing their music or doing something to try to find a wider audience. However, I do not think that Super Unknown is a bad album. I think Super Unknown rips. I think Down on the Upside rips. I feel like Chris Cornell, I don't know why he cut his hair, but they still continue to make good music after he cut his hair. I just added that in there for the sake of her argument, but I don't agree with that opinion. But I do think that Metallica cutting their hair, really, they took a big fucking left turn there that doesn't necessarily. Eddie Van Halen cutting his hair, I'm not a fan of either. Although I don't mind Van Hagar.
And you often work with the same cast and crew. What advantages does it give you bringing the same people back time and time again?
It's like you take the all stars, like you make a movie and all the people who get what you're doing and elevate what you're doing, it's going to make their work look better. It's going to make your work look better. I have a really, I think, kind of loose, fun set, so those people enjoy working on the movies. And the more people that you get together and the more you work together, the better you're going to make each other look. So like anytime I work with somebody who elevates my work, I think my producer and editor, Josh Ethier, I think he elevates what I do. He's a way better editor than I am. I think that Steve Moore elevates whatever, we temp score my movies with some of my favorite scores and he still elevates that. And we're 4 movies in, so we can have a very easy back and forth. Same thing with my effects people, Josh and Sierra Russell. Like there's just something about having that shorthand and like they know you, like how I was, talking, like same thing with the actors, like they know me more, they can start riffing better, so having that group where you can kind of go in and you look, in the past, and all the best directors do that. PTA. I mean, the guys have fucking same cast in every movie. So Tarantino mostly same cast in every movie. Fucking Coen brothers, like, and the crew. There's a reason why that holds true. And I'm not of the mind where like even if I got a $20 million movie, I would be like fighting you're hiring me to make this movie because you like my movies, then you're hiring all of us because you like the collective thing that we'll do. And it gives me less stress because I can trust the people I'm around and it's not like a new, the fuck's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of your actors meet grisly ends. Do you have one of your friends who is your go-to for a good on-screen death?
Yeah, my buddy Matt Mercer, who was ripped in half in Mind's Eye. He had a very brutal death in Bliss that we actually cut out. He has a really nice brutal quick death in VFW. He's the father in this who gets the axe to the head and then crushed. And the secret, not secret, well, it is kind of secret, I guess, hasn't been announced, it's been rumbled about, but the movie I'm shooting now, me and him star in it, and we both die multiple times on screen. And also, I was on the cover of Fangoria a few years ago, and I got Matt to come in and work as a fake, or he played the dead body on the cover. So like it's almost an obsession or a joke now, where it's like, what's the most grisly end I can give to Matt Mercer?
And he's so lovely, you know, you're being so mean to him. He's so lovely.
I know, that's why I like brutally demolishing his head in numerous movies.
And the film features a killer Santa Claus, which has obviously drawn comparisons to Terminator. But I feel that there's sort of a through line with a lot of your work where there are elements of Terminator, like Mind's Eye. To me, oddly, I felt a bit of a Terminator vibe to it. In this, you've got the killer robot, but there's also some shots that I noticed were quite similar, and some plot points that are maybe quite similar. So I feel that the Terminator is a film that seems to be in your DNA. You know, what is it about this film that you think has inspired you in such a way?
Well, it's my favorite movie. And it's kind of what made me want to make movies. I don't know, I just watched it as a kid. It's weird, when I was a kid, Terminator and Terminator 2 were my favorite movies. I used to like Terminator 2 more. I don't know, I kind of consider them the same thing, but like it's what made me want to make movies, and just the awe of Terminator 2 was like, oh, this is what movies are capable of. And then as I kind of got older, it made me realize how fucking goddamn good Terminator actually is. And there's just like so many things about it. It's like an indie, but it's a slasher, and like the way that it looks, like the neon club, the fucking Schwarzenegger at night, that way that LA looks, like the music, like everything about that movie is perfect. And it's such a B movie idea, but it's done like above and beyond the level of an Oscar winning movie, which is like, I think sets a precedent for like, it's like, yeah, I want to make grisly slasher movies with robot style things, but like we're gonna fucking approach this like it's an A-list movie. Like, so I mean, there's just something about that, like, and that's just something that spoke to me. And then like the tricks that were involved in making it what it was, like, made me fall in love with kind of like the magicianship of being a filmmaker. So there's just so many things about that movie that have informed so much about how I do things, from like the writing of exposition and action, figuring out like little different second unit ways to sell things. So yeah, that's just a huge influence on me. So I think after this, I might have like reached my peak of Terminator influence. I might have to, deviate elsewhere.
I'm a massive like Terminator and Terminator 2 again. I was similar as a kid. I think Terminator 2 appeals to you more as a kid, and then as you grow up, you realize that the nuances of the Terminator, because I've gone on a similar journey. And I guess sort of sticking with Terminator in a way, I just have to, give a shout out to the fact that finally somebody on screen is talking about Pet Sematary 2 in a positive way. Can we just talk about how underappreciated that film is?
It's a masterpiece, and I wanted, I always yell at my not yell at my friends, but I'm always like feverishly defending that movie. And when I finally do get people to revisit it, they agree that it was misunderstood. So now I want to put it in a movie, and the audience is going to be forced to listen to a minute and a half monologue about why Pet Sematary is good, and I hope that it's going to make people reevaluate and seek out Pet Sematary too, because it is. I mean, I don't got to tell you what my thoughts on it, because she's just verbatim speaking my thoughts on it, but everything she says is fucking true.
Yeah.
Same thing with
Clancy
Blair Witch. I think Blair Witch 2 needs a reassessment.
Yeah, I mean, Clancy Brown in that film is just insane. He's so good.
Yeah, I'd love to. He's like one of my dreams to work with, someday, hopefully.
And Christmas Bloody Christmas is dropping on Shudder on the 9th of December, nicely timed for Christmas. Why should the Shudder subscribers take a chance on this film? And also, what's the best settings? This kind of, to me, feels almost like a party film.
Yeah, I mean, the characters are drinking, doing shots, smoking weed. I think that if you just get some people together and you hang out with the characters and do those things with them, maybe every time they take a shot, you can take a shot. But I feel like people should watch it because, there are a lot of original horror movies being made, but whether, whatever your opinion of this movie ultimately is, I don't think there are really any movies being made like this that are shot in film with fucking robots and sex and drugs and heavy metal and horror loving characters. And I just feel like I want people to give it a shot, because I do feel like it's unique in the landscape, and I think that true horror fans are gonna really like it because they're represented on screen by a true horror fan, and I'm giving them everything that they like, whether they know it or not.
And I guess it's sort of under wraps at the minute, but as you said earlier, you know, you are working on the next project. So are you hoping that that's going to be out at some point next year?
Yeah, it's almost done shooting. So I'm hoping that, you know, it can start playing in festivals in the spring or summer. We'll see how long it takes to shoot. It's been going on for a year and a half, so fucking really painstaking, but it'll be worth it.
Cool. Well, I wish you best of luck with it, with the rest of that film and with the release of Christmas Bloody Christmas.
Oh, thank you.